Is this for like this? This is for the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, gee, I was like, is that because that could be one race?
Oh yeah. This is for the whole season. I am going to probably not do Daytona because by the time I get this edited and stuff, it probably will be after Daytona, which would probably get me a couple of these. I did some very like, yeah, that kind of just is gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
And then some of them are like, they're just gonna be really, really hard to get to, but will probably happen maybe.
Yeah, mine were a few of mine were speculative. Some I went for a funnier side, and a couple of serious ones. Some are unlikely, but
my first one happens probably every other year. Like one of the drivers loses a wheel completely on the racetrack and has to drive back on 3 wheels.
Is that just from contact, losing a wheel?
A lot of the times it's just because the pit crew just didn't tighten it. And there's been a few times where it's like it's Denny Hamlin or something, where he's like going for the race lead and then gets into this weird thing where he just didn't get the nut down, and so he drives out onto the track and then has to drive straight back because his tire flies off.
Oh, yeah, like F1 had a problem with this a few years ago. It's actually the very first episode of Netflix's Drive to Survive was it's centered around Haas, and they were basically running like 4th and 5th for the Australian Grand Prix, and then both of them retire because, and it is but mostly a retirement. Like it's you're like they frown very strongly trying to get back on 3 wheels. It's usually you need to pull over, and they both pulled over with the wheels not going on. The nut doesn't. Because imagine NASCAR saying probably a single nut.
Yeah, single nut now. That wasn't the case in like I think 2019 is when they switched it over.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and then the second one almost never happens, but there was one that happened just at the tail end of last year, so I thought it would be funny. The Freudian slip about a sponsor, and I spelled sponsor wrong for a joke. The Freudian slip was Kyle Busch. He was asked about what did he think about sports gambling, and he was just like, I think it's stupid. And then 2 seconds later, he's just like, oh no, I think it's good, because he remembered who his sponsor was.
He was an ambassador, was he?
So
I forgot who pays his checks.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I try to throw these in a random order, so it might just ruin me. I have the 20 plus cars in a wreck. I wanted to call it the big one, but I think this one makes sense. This one's more specific because the big one can be like 18 sometimes. So I figured I'd be a little bit more specific with it, make it a little harder.
20. But you're talking literally like half the field.
Oh yeah.
And like, are they all out, or can any of them be salvaged?
Last year there was a 28 pile wreck, which was the biggest in NASCAR history so far, and I think almost all of them kept racing.
Wow, 20. I need to see that. I need to see that in action. I can't fathom a 28 car pile up.
Here, let's look together.
Yeah, please, because
the 28 car.
Because I'm coming from a world where like any more than 2 cars colliding in one incident is like, holy shit, it's big.
I almost think I should like look up some of these to give you inspiration.
That is beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
I can only think of there's an F1 example that comes to mind that I think is like the close I think to that is the 2002 Australian Grand Prix. I'd recommend looking it up just to see like what this is the most chaotic I can certainly, at least there's probably others I'm not thinking of, but this is probably the one that comes to mind.
This is gonna bother me because these cars are so fragile.
Oh yeah.
With the NASCAR, I kind of freak out because I'm like they don't
the roof over the head.
So I'm just like, oh god, how bad are they gonna get hurt?
Yeah.
And then with this, I'm just like, oh god, it looks terrible.
Ooh. So there goes one.
Holy crap!
And then a separate incident like happens behind. Yeah.
Oh no.
Actually, now I think about Spa 98. If you want to look at Spa 98 real quick, that is the granddaddy of them all.
What are you saying?
Spa 1998. F1, and that will
You're gonna have to spell it out because I
Oh,
don't know
just
what to do.
SPA.
SPA. Okay.
Yeah, Spa.
I thought you were saying
I wasn't
spa,
just
and I was
offending
like,
you.
I thought you were saying spa, and I was just like, I don't know if he's right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, in the wet as well, which is just adds extra spice.
Yes. Yeah, nobody can see behind the
Can you
leader.
see anything? Are you ready? You're not
These
ready.
guys are so loud. Oh!
Here we go.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no! Oh no! It's a
Oh,
disaster.
God.
There we go. That's more like it. Everyone was fine.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, everyone's fine. And in this era of F1, most people had like what they call T cars or spare cars. So
Oh,
a
good.
good few, unless you were really unlucky and like your teammate also wrecked, then you weren't getting back into the race. But
Oh,
yeah,
God.
then the wheels go flying, which is the scary part. They're not on
Oh,
tethers
yeah.
at this stage.
Well, and
But
then
yeah,
the stands are right to the right there, too.
yeah. And look at like there's a
Yeah, look at
serious
that.
like look at that tire go flying. Like it's a very dangerous thing.
Didn't they
There you
have
go.
they have the ropes on them now, don't they?
Yeah, they have the tethers on there. It takes a lot. They could still it can still happen, but it takes an awful lot of force for those things to come off. They don't come off as willy nilly as
I
before. But
know.
not quite the 28 pile, but yeah.
I know. Right after NASCAR started doing that was it NASCAR? Maybe it was Indy. I don't remember. One of the tires that flew over the stands.
Oh,
I
this
think it
just
might
this
have been
sounds
NASCAR.
familiar for. I think Indy had this very recently. I think it was a Kirkwood that crashed at Indy, went upside down. The tire flew and landed on someone's car. I think we actually discussed. We talked about this actually.
Okay, that was Indy. Okay, yeah, I
I
watched
think
that.
it was Kirkwood.
That was
Yeah, that was
terrifying.
very scary. Yeah.
I was just like, man, I wish that was my car. Think
Can
about
you
the
one?
payday.
So 20 plus. That's
Yeah,
going to be impressive.
The next one I have shows the wings after they didn't work.
So what does this mean?
But they almost always show the graphic and start talking about how the wings on the cars are supposed to stop them from flipping over and stuff like that. But in the last year, they always showed that after they flipped. And so they're like, this is what's supposed to happen. This is supposed to be like to stop that from happening. And I'm like, why do they show it?
It still happens.
For the next one, I have Bubba wins, which this is more of just a hope. He went winless last year, and I believe went winless about like half of the season the year before. So or no, he didn't win the year before either because he didn't get into the playoffs. Or he got into the playoffs barely. Bubba wins is like a harder deal, but I feel like he's progressively getting better and better. So
And there's so many races that there's a good shot of that happening, right? There's so many races. I know there's a lot of cars, but
yeah. And then my next one is a celebrity on the track that doesn't care about NASCAR.
This is a classic. Yeah, I know this feeling.
I feel like this could be an F1. This could be in almost.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like basketball has people that come to see it like front and center at the basketball games, where you're just like, no, but they do not care about basketball.
Yeah, baseball probably too. It's just a novelty of like, hey, I'm in Madison Square Garden. Hey, I'm at the Yankees.
So then I have I was gonna say 10 plus, but 10 plus lead changes.
So is this for like in the championship or just in a race?
In a race, I can change this to make this a little bit harder if you think this is too easy.
I thought perhaps it might be.
I figured I'd give me some pretty easy ones every once in a while.
Yeah.
But 10 lead changes. I feel like 8 is usually the like standard in NASCAR. But
is 10 would 10 be considered like generally like you wouldn't see it every day? That feels mad given how much the field cycles and wrecks.
Varies by track. There's a record of 88. So yeah, I can like double it and give it to the next person. I can change this to a higher number. Like I can change this to like 40, 50 then.
Give yourself some leeway for an easy one. Say 20.
20, fine. I'll write that down. And I'll change it and then I'll send you it for the proof.
We have to update these as we go along, like mark, you know, that kind of see-through marker you can edit with.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm super excited to do this. And then I'm going to bring this up because I think it's either going to be in
story.
the broadcast or it's going to be brought up in the fandom or something. So this is going to be another easy one. The NASCAR's favoritism against the lawsuit. Like somebody's going to somebody's gonna call out that Bubba's got like a penalty for a reason that he wasn't supposed to, or like Tyler Reddick is getting like preferential treatment because they're scared of getting him in trouble or something like that. I feel like it's just gonna happen. What?
On the broadcast, do you think like they're going to be told by NASCAR like to not mention it as much as possible because obviously just to protect the brand a bit?
I know. I know.
But there's so many
for
broadcasts.
the broadcast for the Clash, one of the broadcasters actually brought up the unbannable thing and brought it up in a way that it sounded like he was almost on his side, but didn't want to say anything. He was just like, and the Michael Jordan is bringing his talent in stuff like this to NASCAR, and I was just like,
And stuff like this.
and I was just like, are you on their side? Like, are you secretly on their side? I can't tell.
You wouldn't be proclaiming favoritism here, would you?
And then the next one is the .00x photo finish. I just realized I put some of these pretty easy ones right next to each other. I can move these around if you feel like. But I feel like there's going to be at least one. There's almost one every year now. Last year there was 3, and that's like insane to think of.
3, jeez, yeah.
And then one is kind of specific. The race leader speeds in the pits, so they have
This
to
won't be Kyle Larson, would it?
Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin.
Just a throwback to Larson's Indy 500 last year.
Oh yeah. There's so many digs that I could pick up for this one.
So what's the I'm interested for a comparison. What's the penalty for speeding in the pit lane in NASCAR?
You have to go through the pits again.
Oh, drive through. Yeah, that's fair. That's what I think it should be.
Yeah. What is it in F1?
It's flip-flopped in F1. It used to be a drive-through, and now genuinely, I don't know at what point it turned into just a 5-second penalty where you either have to serve 5 seconds at the next pit stop, or it's added to your final race time if you don't get a chance to serve it. But I always liked the drive-through approach. I think Lewis Hamilton got himself a drive-through last year at Qatar, but only because he sped by like a ridiculous amount over, and then that's triggered the precedent for a drive-through, but or at least a longer penalty. But I think it should be a drive-through regardless.
I feel like
I think it's that in Indy too.
I feel like it just sets a precedent of like this is what you are going to get, and rather than like who knows.
Yeah, and it's not one of those where it's like there's an advantage. There's never an advantage to be gained in speeding the pits. Like it's one of the most easily policeable offenses in motorsport. Like either you are over the limit or you're not, and if you are, then the penalty for that is usually pretty harsh, and rightly so, because there's people working in the fast lane in the pit lane. Like these cars, the pit lane limit. Well, I don't know in NASCAR, but like in F1 it tends to be sometimes depending on the track, sometimes a little bit. Sometimes it can be like 37 miles an hour. Sometimes it's like closer to 50 or so. Regardless, that's a fast vehicle moving considered being slow.
I then had one crash somebody to win the race.
Ooh.
The reason why I put this here is because Austin Dillon did this last year and got penalized by being taken out of the playoffs. Completely.
Oh wow.
So I feel like that set a precedent that people aren't going to do that this year. Or at
I'm
least
guessing that was the win to get him in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I feel like I want to put it more as they purposefully crash rather than just like a bump and run. Bump and run doesn't count. I want.
But then what if you bump and run on purpose?
Yeah, I want to do it more like a bump and run on purpose that crashes them out. So it's a little bit more specific.
Yeah, because a race win's obviously a race win at all times, but like there's a lot more on the line when a race win also means you're in the playoffs.
Wrecks in all 3 stages.
This one sounds impressive on the surface.
For me, I feel like there's almost always no wrecks in the first stage, because if they are trying to wreck, it's gonna get at the very end of the stage when somebody needs stage points, so it would be probably later on in the season. But I don't think it happens that often that all 3 of the stages get that. And you know what stages are, right?
So the only thing I remember about stages, I remember the Chicago race was done in stages, but that's about all I can remember from it.
All of the NASCAR tracks now have stages. So what it is they just force a caution, basically.
Oh.
And so that also has like stage points that go with it. Like if you win the stage, you get points, stuff like that.
So is the grid then reset? Like, oh, cautions turn around, the grid's just as it is, and we just go again. It just bunches the field up.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
It's kind of well, they did this because they got absolutely screamed at because before the 3 stages they had the run clock is what they called it, and so if every 20 minutes if there was no crash they'd force a caution. And everybody in the world was like, this is the stupidest thing you've ever come up with. And so they did this where it's like a forced, like a lap, whatever that is, a caution rather than timed. Because if you think about it, most of these races go on for hours, so every 20 minutes would be and if there's no crashes, that's every 20 minutes. That's just a random bunching up of the field.
That just adds to an already long race.
This one, I think, is I thought would be fixed this year, but Fox has already proved in the Clash that they're they're not changing their ways of being one of the worst at this. But cutting
surely
away.
in the 21st century, 2025, surely we're not still going to ads during races, are we?
Oh yeah. Well, either ads during races or like this. Thankfully, during the crash, they actually had the split, where it was the race on one side and the commercials on the other.
Yeah, that's at least somewhat better. Not great, but
on
that's
F1. I don't know if Fox had full ads. Yeah, but either cutting away. But I wanted to do it as like a camera cut because they almost always show the crowd reaction.
I hate that shit. We don't need to see that.
Like I'm
not
gonna,
live.
I'm not gonna count the like crowd reactions or whatever.
This is just ads.
But the like either ads or the like showing a different part of the track or like I wanted to count where Fox a couple of times last year went to show a camera that was going to show the car wreck, and they just did not have a camera on the wreck. They have hundreds of cameras all across the racetracks, but not one caught the car wreck like directly.
How?
So I wanted to bully NASCAR basically, bully Fox.
I wish I could say F1 was immune from that nonsense of like bad cutaways, but especially I feel like in the last 5 years, it has gotten progressively worse, and like I don't need to see a fan reaction to someone going off. I'd like to see the thing going off, and if the replay's so hot, then throw it in. But like that's the worst. Like I don't want to see some fat lad pointing out on the circuit where something has happened. Show me what happened, please.
My
next fat lad.
My next one is squirrel cam. I just wanted to have one in there for an animal on the track.
Oh yeah, I know what this is. I thought this was some technical name for some type of camera. I actually thought it was like the low down one next to the bumpers. Like maybe just like
that's the bumper cam.
Yeah, I thought it was that kind of name.
There's one that used to be like in the tracks, like they used to have a camera like underneath the track.
Oh yeah,
and that was called the gopher cam.
Yeah, see that's how I thought this was going on. But you actually mean some actual live ass squirrel that's gone onto the track somehow.
I feel like that happens every once in a
Definitely.
blue moon.
F1's had a few of these as well. Singapore is very funny because you get like these big ass lizards that sometimes come onto the track. Some pretty big, like I don't know if they're Komodos, but they're pretty big. When they go to Canada for Montreal, like you get a few groundhogs, which is funny. I think the most famous was Gary the groundhog. I think he may have got run over. I'm not too sure on that.
No, not Gary.
But people were very upset. People also really like the Imola Cash. Not so much for his on-track antics. Like he's just like a staple from around Imola. But I think he also died.
No.
Otherwise, you get like a random hare or something. But the groundhogs and the lizards tend to be the most famous ones from Canada and Singapore. It's pretty funny.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I think Gary the groundhog may have been run over. I'm not too sure.
And then I wanted to do an 8+ caution race. I feel like I could probably do a higher number with that. I just wanted to make it a little bit like in the middle. I
A
can
plus
make this.
cautions.
I can do it a higher with cautions, meaning like crashes.
Um, 8. Yeah, what, like 200 plus laps or something for some of these? That's doable.
Then I have the 3 plus overtimes. where
Overtime threes.
where it's
This is
just
just for playoffs, right?
no, this is any race
Yeah,
that
any
like
race. Jeez.
it does the 3-2-1. I can do just playoff races if you'd like.
No. That could be too specific. You gotta have some easy wins here. I say easy.
uh, uh, this one is probably the easiest one. I'm just I for some reason in my brain I like thought I had less easy ones, but I feel like a lot of these are easy. No, and now I'm mad.
Well, they're all kind of sequestered into this bottom part here. It'd be difficult to get into a row, so to speak. So maybe that will help.
And then I have promotes a fight while they are fined.
So what does that last bit mean?
And NASCAR loves to promote the fights that people have, right? Either on or off. I'll say off. So like when somebody like comes up to somebody and punches somebody else, they almost always get fined. But then on every social media, NASCAR will promote it.
Oh yes, excellent.
And I'm like, why are you fining them $70,000, and then also making money off of them for doing it? Like I feel like that's counterintuitive.
Yeah, milk it, I suppose.
It almost makes them want to like fight sometimes because I'm like,
yeah, it seems like the wrong thing to promote, but anyway.
Winner crashed after race.
So how does this happen?
There's only been a few times that I've ever seen it, whereas I'm talking kind of like the Ty Gibbs thing that we saw, where Ty Gibbs just like goes after them and hits them really hard after the race, and then Ty Gibbs ends up flying for some reason.
Okay, I get it now.
He was not the leader of the race, but I just want to like last year, Bubba Wallace turned really hard like that into Alex Bowman after the Chicago street race, because Alex Bowman ended up winning the race, but he kind of bumped Bubba Wallace off in one of the corners and made it so Bubba Wallace got some damage on his car that he couldn't keep up anymore. And Bubba Wallace had basically one of the best cars that day. So he was mad and then just turned really hard into him after the race ended.
Oh.
So just heated events that I think he got fined like $75,000 or something like that. So it was a hefty amount for doing that, but sometimes people be mad. I know a couple years ago, Denny Hamlin, after the race, stopped his car in front of the winner to stop him from doing a burnout because he was mad.
Wow, salt.
It was funny.
Salt and smoke.
A zero wreck race. I feel like these are getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah, that feels impossible, especially in like a 40-car field.
Yeah, that is I don't think we're gonna see one this year. I think we're gonna see a wreck in almost every single race, or at least a caution.
It seems like there's too many cars and too close together, and you'd have to like think like it would be something like, I don't know, Chicago or some non-oval race where it could happen. It's like the own like Cota or something, or Watkins Glen maybe.
And then the next one is the toe link is broken. That is the most broken part on a NASCAR car.
Seemed like it was hard to break at the Clash.
Oh, I don't know how they didn't break it at the Clash, especially the 24 in that first wreck. I don't know how.
Not just on the first hit, the second hit too. I thought, damn.
But and like them going into the gutters on the bottom too, they bounced into that a few times where it like spun them out,
Oh.
and I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know how the toe link isn't broken because that's what they make fun of all the time for being broken. Larson wins again. I'm just doing for a back-to-back win for Kyle Larson. I feel like that is sometimes either the easiest or the hardest thing for him to do. I feel like last year he barely squeaked by with one back to back. I feel like that would be a kind of in the middle ground of if that was hard or not to get.
Back-to-back races, yeah.
And then I have the Kyle Busch quote of the day, which is just NASCAR promoting Kyle Busch saying something really nasty or really like aggressive on the radio.
That's gonna be a lot more this year, isn't it, with the radio broadcast now?
I wouldn't,
Jeez.
or like I want to do either that or like Kyle Busch saying something mean in a interview, but I feel like that's like too easy. So I want it to be like on the Fox or on the like Amazon Prime, like it is promoted that he says something mean.
Someone will do it. There's enough networks that are out there streaming this thing now.
I feel like they didn't last year. Like Kyle Busch was very angry, but I don't think they ever showed his like in car like radio. So who knows? NASCAR breaks its own rules. I feel like
brilliant.
I feel like that's self-explanatory.
Yeah, going well so far.
And then all Hendrick cars in the playoffs.
This might be the most serious one you've done, I think.
Yep. Yep.
At the very end.
The one that I think will happen in the first 4 races, where Hendrick wins all 4 of the first races.
Imagine that done.
I do think that I will not. I will probably not count the Daytona 500 because I want to count them after I post this video, and I think I have another video coming out before that. So
I was going to say you would probably have I don't know how many races there are between now and March was when F1 starts back up, but I'm guessing a fair few.
If you feel like some of these are too easy or anything, we can go over and I can change them.
No, I think it's good. I mean, is there a line you think is most particular to get a bingo? Like, have you spotted one like, ooh, that could be the line?
I feel like all Hendrick cars just by itself could be the free spot.
You get 2 free spots.
And then I just get something else. I put something else here. But I feel like Freudian slip will probably be the hardest one to get. So this will be probably the hardest line, or like either line with Freudian, but I feel like this
the middle line
or the middle line up and down will probably be the easiest lines.
Oh, you're backing a 20 car wreck then?
Oh yeah, there's always a big one. It's just the 20 plus that is the hard part. If it happens,
you does the counting.
If it happens like multiple times, I might just bump it up to 25 car wreck.
Yeah, I looked at yours. Like I look at mine and I think, I'm not sure. Like I always think like, what glaring omission have I missed? Like, did you get that feeling during yours? Like, it's like, have I missed? Like, I've probably missed something really obvious.
And that's about it. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Why are you still here? Bye.